I am James ALOFS. I left the big city to build an off-grid homestead on 40 acres of Canadian wilderness. This area of Ontario has giant ridgelines, deep valleys, and pure rivers. Black bears, gray wolves, mountain lions, moose, and many forest spirits share the land. I started in November 2023. Starting with a modest 12 by 16 foot guest cabin, my goal is to build such a glorious homestead that I attract a magnificent wife, have several military-grade babies, and raise our Swiss mountain dog Clovis. Welcome to Wild Homestead.
Whoa, that's light. You can tell all the moisture is out of this stuff. It's just so light. Well, that's the end of that axe. We'll keep going with the Chopper 1, the Sean James My Self-Reliance guy who was not working earlier on this softwood. We'll see if he can keep going. Guys, that's so weird. The Chopper 1, you know, Sean James axe head, the maul that's got these little splitting things on the springs. It's just mangling these softwoods. It seems to work pretty darn well on the hardwood. You know, no complaints there, but the softwood, it just completely mangles it. We were doing a little bit better with the traditional splitting maul, but it was cracked when I started using it. Now it's just completely shattered. So we got to get a replacement handle in town. Gotta watch out for that oak tree. We're gonna move him once they go dormant in the fall because he's too close to the road. Thor's red oak. Ran into a bit of a conundrum with our Baumolite forestry mulcher. So I just got a call from Baumolite. They had someone in the company had seen my video from last Saturday when we were just mulching up a storm back here, and they related that the forestry mulcher, the MP360 that I have from them, is the incorrect attachment for my tractor. So I think this is definitely the responsibility of the local Kubota dealer, because I went to them and said, guys, I would like a forestry mulcher, for the tractor. Can you suggest something? And they said, Baumolite MP360. I'm like, cool. I'm like, this can work on the tractor? They're like, yeah, it can. So technically it can function. Key thing is that Baumolite will not honor the warranty because my tractor's horsepower is higher than what that unit is designed for. It's not by much. It's only about 5 horsepower above the range. But critically, like, that's a $10,000 piece of equipment, Canadian. We need that. We need that warranty. So they recommended take it off as soon as you can. Talk to the dealer. So we got to sort this out. It could be a few weeks. I don't even know before we can get back into it. Clovis, what are you eating? What are you eating, crazy man? What are you eating? What the heck is this? What is that? Whoa! Oh, yeah. Ah! Whoa! Holy cow! Clovis, watch out! Whoa, guys! Look at that. I think these are called they're called like Stevenson snakes. They're super tiny. Go! Get out of here! Get out of here! Go! Go! Are you crazy? Crazy. Oh boy! Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Okay, there you go. There you go. Good boy. Hey, I'm trying to read the grapple claw manual. Hey, watch out. No, don't chew the electronics. Don't chew the electronics. No. No. Okay, folks, we got all the supplies stored away. First time buying plumbing supplies, which is very fun. So I'm going to get into that. But first, coming on in through the driveway, because I still have like 4 cords or 5 cords of wood out there from last year. Plus, I've got this load of grade A gravel, triaxle dump truck load. My driveway is tiny to begin with. And as I was coming in, the side of the driveway where I'm snaking my car through, it literally started to collapse and crumble down. So I think we're going to have to move definitely the gravel, because the gravel is right in the middle. There we go. That's much wider now. We just took the edge, the whole corner off that giant dirt heap there. It's much wider now. Okay, folks, so this is about where we started, where the old driveway parking pad ended, and this is how far we got up to this section. So this is about 3/4 of a load. It's a full dump truck load. I used about a quarter of the load, I'd say, is touching up some spots at the end of the driveway that have kind of got chipped away over time. Clovis, we got the wood. We got the wood from the end of the driveway. So guys, this is a truckload of wood from the end of the driveway. Most of the stuff is super dry. Is very, very dry. This has been sitting there since last July or August. What's up, buddy? What's up? What's up? Okay, good boy. Clovis, we just got amazing news. So just got off the phone with the folks at Light, and they're sending us a new unit. So, you know, we purchased the MP360, but it's not the correct unit. So they're going to be sending us the significantly larger MP560, and they're going to ship it out like today. So when it gets to the dealer, hopefully in the next week or so, we'll be able to go in and just swap it at no extra cost. So that's freaking amazing. Thank you so much to Light and the owner over there, Menno, a great fellow, a great product made in Wallenstein, Ontario. Okay, folks, here we are. This is an Oxbow Lake that connects into a little channel into the main river over there. We wouldn't want to suck drinking water out of here, but this is going to be perfect for the next step of our well mission. So folks, I think at Wild Homestead, we're going to do 3 different methods of water sourcing. And this is going to be the first. So in town, the local town, there is a fellow who's commonly known as the Well Wizard, or also known as Well Jesus. So I talked to Well Jesus and I explained the setup where we're on an all sand property with this cliff that's maybe 20 feet tall, dropping down to this lower plane, and then it's sloping, you know, into the river and the Oxbow lakes and whatnot. That's probably also sand. So he recommended the following approach, which I will show you next, to do our first water method. I think in total we're going to do 3. This is one of 3. No! You have got to be kidding me. What? Shout out to the local well Jesus / well wizard. The guy was right, dude. Guys, we hit water like 24 inches down. We didn't even get all the way down. That's not even 24 inches. That is incroyable. Clovis, we have water. Yes! Ha ha! Okay, guys. It's collapsing on itself from the inside, which I think is good. I think it means it's very, very much water. Good boy. Oh. Oh, watch out. Fall down. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Would you look at that, folks? That only took about, I don't know, 20 minutes of sledgehammering, and we got it way down. That's 5 feet of pipe plus the 3 feet of the sand point. So that tip, this is called a sand point well. This is the first of 3 different water collection methods we're gonna have on Wild Homestead. And what Well Jesus told me was that basically at the foot of this 20-foot slope, being on pure sand, he's like, you'd be crazy to start tapping this up there. Do it at the base, because you're probably gonna be very close to the water table because the river is just behind us, right? So the water table is like literally 24 inches down. Now the problem is that what the well wizard was saying is that you want this, because we want year-round flow out of this. He's like, the top of the well, where your outlet pipe goes up to your bathroom addition, you want it beneath the frost line, which in these areas is roughly 4 feet, 4.5 feet. So the problem is, if I go down 4 feet there, I couldn't even get the auger down that deep. You're way underwater. So does the water freeze in the wintertime? This is what I don't know. One more thing. The well wizard said the sandpoint well tip, it's got little holes in it, and there's got a screen there, so it'll keep out particles from going in. It lets water in, but not sediment. He said you want it at least a foot beneath the surface. So we've got it about 5 feet beneath the surface already. So we got it well down there. It might even be too deep. Okay, guys, I managed to get the well wizard on the phone, which was a miracle. So basically, it's a bit of a conundrum. So this is it's a mixed blessing having the water that close to the surface. But he said, yeah, he said that could freeze 5 feet down. And the mud around the outside, he's like, can you dig around it and try to get, you know, the full 5 feet down? And I said, no, as soon as you kind of get out a little bit, the walls are just collapsing in into this cavity. It's just like, you know, almost like quicksand down there. So I think it's basically going to be impossible to try to drive that down 5 feet while keeping the mud and the water away from it, and then getting the proper hardware fitting on there, a T-joint, to go into poly piping, and then have a trench that's 5 feet deep all the way up to the extension on the cabin. I said to the well wizard, what if I actually start the well halfway up the slope, you know? So if this is only about 20 inches below the surface, say I start the well like right here, I'll be able to go down 5 feet, hopefully, and the water table is still there. Do you know what I mean? If we start further up here. Now this thing is in there. I just tried yanking it, and it is just, I also chat GPT'd it, and once a well point is down like that, it's pretty much stuck. So the well point itself was about $90. So we can get another well point and I think try up here. The well wizard said there's a second option, and that is to get a heated conduit line and feed it through your poly pipe. And he said that way you don't actually have to bury the pipe, or at least you don't have to bury the pipe very deep. You run the pipe up on the surface with this heated conduit inside. The only downside to that is then you're going to have electrical charge going into it. Clovis! There he is. Come on, buddy. Come on, come on, come on. Oh. Oh. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? one of my favorite stories from the time of Clovis, King Clovis, who my dog is named after, was that of his arch nemesis, a guy named Syagrius. And Syagrius was the last surviving Roman governor. He ran a rogue Roman province for 20 years after the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD. All of Western Rome, those lands were occupied by various Germanic peoples. You know, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, the Vandals in North Africa, the Franks, the Burgundians, and the Franks, who are just in the process of being unified by Clovis and Clotilda, are arguably one of the weakest kind of players in Western Rome, occupying just a small part of what is now northern France. And Clovis knew that if he wanted to continue to unify all the different Frankish tribes, keep them together, and to continue to expand against his other enemies, especially the Visigoths, who were running Spain and most of southern France at that time, he needed to capture these lands that were being run by this rogue Roman governor, Syagrius. So Syagrius was running a big chunk of northern France, still in the Roman way, and it included very important cities like Paris and Orleans and Reims and Soissons, and it was called, some historians call it, the kingdom or the province of Soissons. Eventually, Syagrius was challenged to a showdown and met Clovis at the Battle of Soissons. But before I tell you what happened in that battle, I have to, give you an analogy for how impressive it was what Syagrius was doing, running this province for 20 years after the end of the Roman Empire. Think of if the Axis powers had won World War II and that North America was invaded by Japan and Germany. And they basically conquered all of it except for the state of Ohio. And the state of Ohio had some plucky governor who, Ohio has rich farmlands and very good industrial capacity. It's a wealthy state. And he somehow managed to keep Ohio going and assumed that the Japanese and the Germans were also fighting one another for some reason. So they couldn't, put all of their attention on Ohio. That's essentially the situation in France or Western Europe at that time. You had the Franks, the Burgundians, and the Goths in what is modern-day France fighting each other, but also fighting Syagrius in Soissons. Very impressive, Syagrius, doing what he was doing. But at the Battle of Soissons, we unfortunately don't know any of the tactical or military details, but it was a massive loss for Syagrius and the Romans, the last of the Romans. And Syagrius flees to the south into the arms of the Visigoths, and the Visigoths did not treat him too well. They had him sent directly back to Clovis, and Clovis had him, as one does in that day, stabbed to death unceremoniously in his jail cell. So that was the end of Syagrius. But Syagrius's family, his daughters, his sons, for many, many hundreds of years, were very successful local rulers in that area under the Franks. But it's just one of the craziest stories, this rogue Roman governor surviving a little pocket of the Roman Empire well after the fall of Rome itself. Okay, guys, so unfortunately, I got 150 feet of hose. I thought it'd be more than enough, but we're short, I don't know, about 20 feet. So we're gonna have to get more hose this weekend. So step two, we're gonna skip We're gonna skip step 2 here. The next step on this guy is to actually blow it out with water. So that's what we're doing with the trash water pump, is bringing this water up to blast water down here and blow all the sediment that's likely stuck around the sand point from the bottom. And also by pumping high pressure water down, you can blow out a little cistern around the head of the sand point well. So unfortunately, our hose is a little bit short here. We're gonna have to get one more segment to make that work. But after blowing it out, the next step is to take the pump, connect the intake to the top of the well, and then just run it for a few minutes and see how much volume we can get consistently out of the well. I think we're gonna get a huge amount of volume because there's so much water down here. Hey, no. You spilled them. Watch out, Clovis. Okay, that hole's about 5 feet down there. So if for whatever reason we drill down and we do not hit water, or the water flow is not optimal, we do have that pump that's functioning there. So we can always do the heated conduit on the shallow or above ground poly piping up to the bathroom extension. So we've got one thing that I think is going to work for sure, but this is going to be ideal because it doesn't require more kit and electricity. The tractor. We use the tractor. The werewolf. We could use the tractor. We could use the tractor. We could bring the trench back here so we don't have to then dig down with the shovel. And we could even use the bucket or the backhoe to maybe just press the well down instead of hammering like a maniac. Unleash the werewolf. Oh, I feel my testosterone rising. I feel that my testosterone has just tripled. Heart rate increasing. Tractors, werewolf. Oh, did you guys see that? So I've seen some YouTube videos saying that sometimes you'll hit into something called a hard pan, and that's what the well wizard also told me in town. So that was max, like that was 3/4 throttle on the engine. The hydraulics are going full bore. That thing was just barely moving it. With a sledgehammer, I can only imagine you would go nowhere. It would take hours. But then once it punched through that hard pan, it just went boom. So the pipe bent. Everything appears to be intact, but as you can see, there's a bend in the pipe. It seems solid. You can even see water right there, 5 feet down. It seems solid as is. Or we'd have like an elbow here, and then the PVC going towards the addition right there. But, let's do the tape measure test to see if we hit water. Fingers crossed. Oh, you guys hear that? Okay, we're hitting water. We're hitting water at about 6 feet. That is good. That is very good. The head of this tape measure is getting a little caught in the bend, but it makes its way through. Look at that, guys. That's water, baby. That's water. There we go. It's hitting right at 6 feet. I kind of feel like Daniel Day-Lewis in the film There Will Be Blood. So that's amazing. That actually makes sense at 6 feet down. We're hitting 6 feet down here. that makes sense because this ledge right here is 5 feet above the ground, the surface of the ground there. And look where the water is in our first well. It's right here. It's only down like 12 inches, if that. So that totally makes sense that the water table seems to be at the same level. So that's amazing, guys. The other incredible thing is that with the backhoe pushing it down, this is 6 feet from the surface. So we can literally just put an elbow on that and have the PVC run and then in there. Look at all that beautiful water. 2 wells, guys, 2 wells. Okay, so the next step for our 2 wells, we're gonna have a beneath ground all season well, and then that's gonna be the summer well. We can even put that water pump on top of it and pump, I think maybe put like one of those big 1,000 liter totes on a tower over here, and just fill it from this well, and then use that for firefighting or, watering trees, any kind of general water usages we need. And then this well will obviously be for the bathroom attachment and whatnot. But of course, the next step is getting the extension for this hose. We need to blast out both of these well heads. We need to pump just pressure water right through there, blow out all the sediment. We then have to test, right? Take the pump and bring it up here, hook it up to these 2 wells, and pump out of it and see how much flow we get. Because if there's good flow for a minute, that's very different than having good flow for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, right? So the danger is that with these Sandpoint wells, these are literally the easiest and cheapest well you can possibly do. A professionally drilled well here in Ontario costs at least $20,000. So these things were a couple $100, right, for this equipment. But the danger is I have 2 neighbors who attempted to do Sandpoint wells on their property, and both of them started drawing water at first, but after a few months, they kind of petered out. One of them went completely dry, and the other one basically was a highly reduced flow rate. So both of their wells essentially failed after a couple of months. Now, these guys are not near the river. They're on pure clay. We're on sand right near the river, and the water table is super high here. So I'm hoping this is going to work. But the other 2 methods of well that I think we're eventually going to do at Wild Homestead is a heated pipe directly sucking from the river itself, and then doing an actual professional drilled well for the main cabin over there on the point. But anyways, guys, going to see you next week here on Wild Homestead. Strength and honor to you all. More fishing and hunting to come. May the gods bless you all, both the old gods and the new. And remember, folks, if your local well Jesus is telling you that you need to buy 159 pounds of dynamite to blow out your self-drilled hole, don't question him. Just buy that stuff on Amazon Prime and say the following 7 words and 9 syllables. Ooga booga.